18th play of this drive, and they do run it, and they do not get it. The clock expires, and the Green Bay Packers have held on defense.
All right, and we are back here on Infinite Sports Radio, and we are now joined by a very special guest, a guy who I've grown to really love and appreciate his content on his YouTube channel, not just with Packers, but with all the NFL stuff. We are joined by Tom Grossi. Tom, you're live on Infinite Sports Radio from Quinnipiac. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Obviously, going into the bye week, the Packers are 8-2. Have they exceeded your expectations, and what are some things that you think they could work on during the bye week to get themselves better and prepared for San Francisco in a couple weeks?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you go in, and there was this cautious optimism. Obviously, Mike McCarthy being let go, before the season ended last year, and then you have a brand new head coach, brand new offensive coordinator, second-year defensive coordinator.
Yep.
A lot of new free agents, a lot of nuances going on in Green Bay this year, and so. There's a lot of media coverage of, maybe Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers aren't going to get along and they're going to fight. And so you don't want to believe it, but in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, crap, are they right? And so I think from, being in a perspective, if you were to tell me at the beginning of the season that with a first-year head coach, we'd be sitting at 8-2 heading into the bye, I don't know what Packers fan doesn't take that. So, yeah, they have beyond exceeded my expectations, considering that we may be just playing the 49ers in a couple weeks for the number one seed, or at least, temporary control over the number one seed. I think that's it's absolutely incredible what they've been able to accomplish thus far.
Hey, Tom. This is the co-host here, Ben. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Ben. How are you?
Good. Hey, so I got a question for you about that upcoming Packers 49ers bout.
Sure.
First of all, I think it's a great move by the NFL that they changed it to the Sunday night game. That's fantastic because it deserves that watchability for sure. What do you think are the Packers' chances of heading into San Francisco and walking out with a win?
Yeah, so I think obviously that's going to be an incredibly difficult game, and if I'm not mistaken, Kittle is supposed to be back for that game as well.
Yeah, for the 49ers' sake, you hope so.
Yeah, he should be.
Well, I mean, for the Packers.
Well, yeah, of course,
make sure he rests a little bit longer.
But
you just don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? You would like to have them both at full strength. Just to make the game, even better than it should be. Obviously, yeah, I'll be rooting like hell for the Packers. The quick thing is though. We're both Giant fans, and we I don't know if you listened to our rant before we got you on here, but we're on opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to our two football teams. But for the Packers, they're kind of my kind of like that second team that I can rely upon when the Giant season pretty much ends after kickoff week 1. Because my family, they were huge Brett Favre fans, obviously when he was on the Packers. And, as I got more into football, in the 2010s, I just became a huge Jordy Nelson fan. That he's incredible. I mean, the guy played in an NFC Championship game with 2 broken ribs. And just that connection between him and Aaron Rodgers, and also a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. And also got Jordy Nelson's Raider jersey. That's how big of a Jordy Nelson fan I am. It's special, the connection that they had. So the Packers really are kind of like my second team, and I would consider myself a Packers supporter. Not fan, but supporter, because that's a team that we love to root for. And we just hope that they can. We hope we can do it. They can do it this year.
Yeah, and I think the key is right. So we're talking about the 49ers game, and that's going to be an incredibly tough game. It's going to be in a hostile atmosphere. It's obviously prime time, which is going to be a phenomenal Sunday night game. And I think the Packers can definitely come out with a win. Garoppolo has been inconsistent, and I think that team is definitely beatable. Obviously, as the Seahawks showed this past Monday night. But then again, I think that every single team in the NFL right now is beatable. You have these crazy weeks like we just had in Week 10, in which there was upsets galore, and you have heavily favored teams losing, and I think that just shows it's tough to be consistent every single week, and there's a reason why it's called Any Given Sunday.
Yeah, no, you're right. You nailed it right on the head. I mean, obviously watching the Seahawks game, the Seahawks 49ers game on Monday night, you could tell that Garoppolo was kind of very shaky. I think a lot of that also has to do with the fact that he's coming off the ACL injury from last year, and I just think playing against, I feel like that was his first real test this season, because playing, obviously he had his great game against the Cardinals, but it's the Arizona Cardinals. Now you're playing against Russell Wilson on a big stage Monday night, everybody's watching, and there were a couple of times where he should have got picked off, and stuff got taken back because of penalties, and he just looked really shaky, and I think with the additions of Preston Smith and Zadarius Smith, able to get pressure on the quarterback. Now, obviously, the Packers struggle with the run. That's a concern, but I think they could get pressure on this guy in the secondary. For the most part, has held up, and I think they got a great shot. I really do.
Yeah, and I think obviously, one of the nice things is obviously they have a backfield of Coleman and Breida, but coming off facing Christian McCaffrey, who's in the running for MVP.
Yep.
And just and I count this as a win. Just holding him to a little over 100 yards and just one touchdown.
Yeah.
That's a win in our book, considering we've struggled. But we've gone against some heavy duty running backs this year, right? We had Zeke.
Dalvin Cook.
We've gone against some guys, and for the most part, we've done okay. Philip Lindsay ran all over us, of all people. But
he's pretty good.
Yeah, but for the most part, the defense is kind of taking this mantra, and it's become curse words around Green Bay, because this is how it's been for years. But it really is the bend don't break kind of defense. But we're actually not breaking at these points. You see, week after week, we're having these goal line stands. Even the terrible game against the Chargers, we're still
that was awful.
Field goals. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was bad.
Force them to kick field goal after field goal after field goal, and then the defense in third quarter is okay, I don't know what else you want from me. I've done all I can do, and the offense isn't doing anything. So it's going to be tough because they have a very talented defense. They have some very talented players on that side of the ball, and I think it's just going to be a matter of how well the offensive line can protect Aaron Rodgers, which they have done very well in this stretch. And so I think coming out of a bye week, I think that this is kind of if there's a chance to kind of knock off the 49ers at home, I think this is going to be one of the best ones they could possibly capitalize on.
Yeah, definitely. Tom, you were just talking about all those great attributes of this Packers team. I think, in my eyes at least, I think they can win this NFC North title. That Week 16 matchup against the Vikings is going to be huge. Where do you see the team... well, let's just say they win the North, okay? Where do you see this team going? How far do you think they're going to go in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, that's the age-old question, right? So you look at, I would love that, but the NFC, so the AFC is super top-heavy, right? They have the Patriots, they have the Ravens.
Unfortunately, they have the Patriots, yeah.
When the Chiefs decide to show up, they have them too. And the Texans, could go either way.
Yeah.
But, the NFC is such a complete and total, crapshoot. Because, there are so many contenders within, that conference. And so, you have the 49ers. I wouldn't be surprised if the Vikings do get a wild card. You do have the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever dumpster fire comes out of the NFC East, we'll have them too. And then you have, the Saints, who... obviously didn't have a good game last week, but I'm not putting a ton of stock into that because it's a divisional game.
Yeah. I was saying the same thing. Yeah, I agree with that.
You only get one, right? So the
Packers exactly.
sucked a whole lot against the Chargers. They came back and they were able to beat the Panthers this week. So I'm not going to put a ton of stock into that. Drew Brees and that offense is incredibly talented, and they still have the defense to compete with anybody. So I think looking ahead and seeing who we'd have to play in the playoffs. Again, a lot of it's going to depend on where we're playing it. So if we're able to secure a home field advantage, you do play teams like the Saints or the Seahawks or the Cowboys or something like that. And it's in cold weather. These are dome teams. The 49ers obviously playing out in California. It's a different atmosphere for them.
Right.
And I really don't want to undercut how important, Lambeau is in January. Not a lot of teams can go in there and be very successful. And, while I'm not at the point where I'm the Packers are going to the Super Bowl. I don't have my expectations right there. But right now, I'm confident that we're hopefully going to get to the dance. And from there, I think it's anybody's game. But I think right now, and we'll see this,
take it week by week,
Sunday,
really.
Yeah, and a week from Sunday that we really can compete with anybody.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I'm a little concerned because, they've played good teams, don't get me wrong, but it's just the quarterbacks that they've gone against. Now, when you go up against guys like Drew Brees and Russell Wilson in the playoffs, because obviously, they played guys like Joe Flacco, they played Kyle Allen last week. It's gonna be tough. Do you think that this defense will be able to, try to minimize and at least kind of contain these better quarterbacks to a certain extent, because the Packers have had clashes with Russell Wilson over the years, and it's been unfortunate results to say the least. But you think that this defense is able to can take the next level and be able to hold these guys to a decent amount, just to give Rodgers a chance to not be heroic like he's been in the past, but just be able to score enough points just to at least have a chance to win.
Yeah, well, I think a couple of stats. So, one, the Green Bay Packers are the only team that have beaten 5 teams who have winning records. The next teams they've won only 3 against winning teams. So,
yeah.
I mean, they have played, a decently tough schedule this year, especially,
yes.
Opening the season when we actually thought the Bears were contenders. And
yeah, you must be really happy about that.
Yes, I can't say that I've shed too many tears about that. And taking a look at, you're 100% right. You do have some great quarterbacks. You do have Drew Brees. You do have Russell Wilson. And looking at kind of where the Packers have been, this defense is the best that we have had in years. And even with, right now, I think we're 29th in, yards allowed. Or
yeah.
But, we're 12th in points allowed. It's something like that. And I think it's a matter of, I've said from the beginning, if we could at least have, a decent defense, a competent defense.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not asking for top 10.
Yeah.
I'm barely asking for top 15.
Yeah.
This team can do great things because, like you said, we've been relying on Aaron Rodgers for years and years and years and years without a defense, without a running game, and now we have both of those things. And so, while the defense is not elite by any stretch of the imagination, Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith have played very well. Kenny Clark came out last week and played very, very well. And I think that, we have a legitimate shot at, surprising some teams in the playoffs, especially if we're playing at home.
Tom, I have to hear this from you personally. With the NFC being so stacked, who are your top 6?
In the NFC?
Yes.
Okay, do you want in particular order or no particular order?
Oh, yeah, I should have specified. No particular order. So, okay. Your top 6.
I gotcha. Okay, so you obviously have the Packers in there. The 49ers, I think they're in there. The Seahawks are definitely in there. You have the Saints. I'll throw the Vikings in there. The Vikings have been playing really well.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the Cowboys. I really
don't. I don't either. You're speaking to the choir, Tom. We can't stand the Cowboys. That's why. Talking about the Giants and the Packers over the years in the playoffs, obviously, yeah, we got the best of you a couple of times. Hate to bring it up, but then of course, Aaron Rodgers, he did his typical Hail Mary thing. But the best thing about supporting the Packers is that you can always rely on Aaron Rodgers to take out the Cowboys for us, because you know what, he's their dad. He really is. I mean, even when he doesn't have a good defense, has no run, has Ty Montgomery being his running back, Aaron Rodgers says, it's no problem. I'll beat the Cowboys for you.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, even if it's not Aaron Rodgers, Matt Flynn could do it.
Yeah, exactly. That was the other thing. Watching a couple. Yeah, exactly. Watching a couple of your videos talking about Deshaun Kaiser and stuff like that. I'm just saying to myself, you know what? If the Packers had Matt Flynn, let's say in the 2017 season, which I kind of take full responsibility for that season, in the sense that even though I'm not a Packers fan, I just say it, because I just love to be pessimistic and just for the comedy of it, but. The Giants, when their season tailspinned in 2017, I was like, all right, the Packers are going to be my full-time team for the rest of the year, and that's that. And then a week later, Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone, and I said, wow, nice, great.
I hopped on the wrong bandwagon.
Yeah, I hopped on the wrong bandwagon, and it's a bandwagon that I can usually rely upon, because the Packers are really there for them. And now they took a step back last year, obviously. And went through a lot of major changes, but that's a team like I said before, right when you came on, it's a team I love. They have players on it that I love, and I can rely on that team to get to the playoffs and win a championship. So I can at least say, hey, at least one of my teams won. But yeah, I mean it's going to be now. Obviously, with their upcoming schedule, they have about what is it, 4 of their last 6 games are on the road or something like that. But you look at their schedule, though, it plays in their favor. But the one game, like we talked about before, is the Vikings game. And that's a game where, the Packers, they really haven't had that much success in that building. I don't think they've won a game in Minnesota, in that stadium. They have not. So that's one thing that I'm kind of concerned about going into that game. But, you look at they play the Giants in a couple of weeks. So, whatever. But they play, I think they play the Redskins. Yeah, they play the Redskins. They still have the Lions week 17, Lions kind of gave up at this point. I I think really when you look at the schedule, it's pretty favorable. I think at most they're going to lose 2 games, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I mean, obviously the 49ers and the Vikings are the 2 major games. And, listen, I'll be hopeful and maybe we'll be sitting starters on Week 17. I highly doubt it, but you know, if we get to that point. But, yeah, we have a favorable game against the Giants. It's a 1 o'clock game, and, the Giants have done a whole lot of nothing this year, thankfully. So,
yeah, sadly.
Yeah. Are you going to be in attendance for that game?
There's potential that I went to the Jets game last year.
Yeah, that was the same with me. I was there, too, for that, yeah.
Yeah, and so there might be a potential I'm able to swing over that game, but then again, I could also just save that money and just watch, to decimate the Giants.
Yeah. You know what? You're right. But any chance you get to see Aaron Rodgers play live, I would take full advantage of it.
Yeah, no, and I try to make it out when there's a playoff game in Lambeau and stuff because those games don't they do come around decently often, but. Every chance you get to see Aaron Rodgers play some playoff football is definitely exciting.
Yeah, it's something special. Yeah.
That Vikings game though is going to be tough, and it's a 19-2. It's the day before Christmas Eve. It's going to be.
Hopefully they give you an early Christmas present.
Yeah, you know what? That's what I'm hoping. And listen, I know the Vikings have always beaten us in that stadium, and they have all that, but. At least I can hang my hat that we scored the first touchdown ever when that stadium opened.
That's true. Aaron Rodgers to Jordy Nelson, right?
Yeah, I got that. So I'm okay. And the Vikings, they have a pretty favorable schedule too, but they have 2 tough games as well. They have us, but they have the Seahawks before then, who I think, and it's the Seahawks in Seattle.
That's true.
It's going to be a very, very difficult
game.
And
they obviously played them on Monday night last year, and they were terrible.
Yeah, so I think, and who knows? Maybe the Chargers will actually show up because the Vikings actually have I think the next 5 games, 3 of them are night games, and so
and
they are, yeah.
Yeah, and you know how Kirk Cousins plays in prime time, except when he beat the Cowboys on Sunday night.
I need the Cowboys to do one freaking thing. I just need them to win one time, and they can't even pull that off. And I'm like, you know what? I feel no sympathy for dashing your hopes and dreams every single year.
Yeah, exactly. Look, when the Cowboys lose, America wins. Okay, that's really what you could say. And Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott, 2 quarterbacks that I'm very critical of. I'm not a Kirk Cousins fan, especially because he screwed me over in my 2015 fantasy championship when I didn't think he was going to play, and then he ended up playing and threw for 3 touchdowns. He had 30 points. So I haven't been a Kirk Cousins fan, and my friends are like, when he puts up good stats, he's on a better team now. And obviously when he did good in Week 2 last year against the Packers, I was like, the Packers' defense wasn't as good as it is now. So obviously, unfortunately, any quarterback could do that against that defense last year. But, do you think that the Vikings could catch the Packers, potentially?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, again, I think that the Vikings have been playing well. So, we obviously went through, the first quarter of the season, everyone was running Kirk Cousins out of town, and I just absolutely loved every second of it.
That was great.
But, they have had, the past few games, they've had a pretty, decent stretch of games, right? So they turned around after the Bears game, and they played the Giants, so sorry. Then they played the Eagles, who are very good, then they played the Lions, and they played the Redskins. These are 4 teams that are, they're not world enders at all. They lost to the Chiefs, with Matt Moore, and they were able to skate out against the Cowboys. And so I think, they do have a benefit of having a little bit of an easy schedule. But, listen, the Broncos might play them a little bit difficult, but, the Seahawks game will be tough. Who knows with the divisional game with the Lions? And then the Chargers game could go either way, and then there's us. So there's potential that they could drop, 2 games as well. And I think I would not be surprised if it does come down to Week 16. Obviously, we already have a victory over them, which is incredibly helpful. But
I think
huge. The more important thing is that if we have the same record at the end, we win via the division because they lost to the Bears and they lost to us already.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
They already have 2 losses. We haven't lost within the division yet. And so I think that could play a toll, come Week 17, if that's still the case, if it's still needed.
And hey, Tom, I got a question for you about the oh my gosh, it was just in my head. About the NFC West, that's what it was. Now with the 49ers losing to the Seahawks, who do you think is going to win that division now that those 2 teams are really, really close with each other? I think Seattle's still got a good chance, but in the end, I would still take San Fran. What about you?
Well, I mean, I think you guys are obviously forgetting the power and might of the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know why everyone's sleeping on them.
Hey, you know what? Kyler Murray looked pretty good. 3 touchdowns to Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
Hey, famous Jameis got the best of him.
he's been like, because again, the Cardinals are utter trash. But like, he's been like sliding under like the radar of being like, he's been having a good rookie season, considering that he has zero help, and I mean
right.
zero.
Oh my God, yeah.
He literally has zero help.
Yeah, talk about the offensive line for the Giants these past couple of years. I mean, the offensive line for the Cardinals is an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, the guy has no protection, running for his life, and I believe he threw his first interception on Sunday. I mean, to be able to do that and not turn the ball over, they got some pieces for the future, the Cardinals, but they're in a powerhouse division, and maybe in a couple of years they might get there.
So, like, looking at the 49ers schedule, so, like, some of the games that stick out, like, they don't have an easy schedule. Like, they have the Packers, the Ravens,
the Saints,
and that's 3 in a row, and then they finish off with Seattle, so that's 4, potential games that they could drop. And while Seattle, they have the Eagles, which go either way, they have the Vikings, which I think they'll win, then they have the Rams, who, the Rams have been beaten up this year. Yeah. And then you have the Panthers, who could go either way, and then the Cardinals, and then Seahawks. So I think that the Seahawks schedule is much more beneficial for them to actually win the division and sneak out. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see the 49ers drop a few of these games, because any one of these teams, even if they beat us, and let's just say, they beat the Seahawks at the end of the year, like, they can still drop 2 more games against the Ravens and the Saints. And I think the thing about the Seahawks is that their defense is so not impressive to me this year. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of it, while they've had, like, a pretty good running game, Russell Wilson really has been, like, this is why he's in
he's been the guy,
MVP. He's been great. Like, he didn't play great on Monday, but, like, for all but, like, 2 games this season, he has carried that team. And it's like, hey, I'll go score 5 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, use my legs, what have you.
Yep, exactly.
And I think, with the benefit of their schedule coming up, well, again, there's still some tough games. I think the Seahawks do have a good shot to take it from them. And that particular division might come down to Week 17. And
I think it will.
I don't think there's a Sunday Night Football game on Week 17 because it's the last.
No, because usually they'll have like they'll flex in something like they did with the Packers and 49ers. So
who knows? Like again, like the 49ers Seahawks, like that'll be like that game of the week, for them. And I think that ultimately could decide the division. So the NFC West is super competitive this year. Who the hell knows what happened to the Rams? Jared Goff forgot how to play football and all this.
Todd Gurley's been non-existent. He's been on my fantasy team and 2 of my leagues.
Utilize him. It's terrible. So. I think that the Seahawks have a good shot at winning it, but then again, I'm not ready to go to sleep on the 49ers just because, they had some people out on Monday night.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think they're still a good football team, but I trust Russell Wilson over Jimmy Garoppolo, but I trust that 49ers defense over Seattle. Yeah,
no, you're right. It really is going to be a tough game for the Packers coming up in a couple of weeks. But I like you said, though, I think, you do take Russell Wilson over Jimmy Garoppolo. And like I said before, I think it does have a lot to do with the injuries. I think Kyle Shanahan, he's done a great job as the head coach for the 49ers. Bringing in guys like Coleman, and obviously Kittle has been, now he's like one of the top tight ends now, along with Kelsey, obviously now with Gronk retiring. But it should be a great game. It really should be. And, hey, look, I'm really hoping that, Aaron Rodgers can get that second Super Bowl because, one of the things that really annoys me, and I watched a video in the past, I think that you posted about, the criticisms of Aaron Rodgers and just how, he's a diva. And look, he's done a couple of things that, hey, like, why are you doing that? Like, come on. But the guy is happy. You could see that he believes in this team. He has a lot of confidence in this team. He doesn't have to worry about having to come save the day all the time. And just like listening to guys that are like, oh, he's washed up and all that stuff. The throws that he made, like in the Chiefs game, the Kumaro throw, the throw to Lazard when he was getting tackled to the ground, and obviously, it was all planned. The touchdown to Jamal Williams, that was planned. He had to do that. He knew that was going to happen. And obviously, like the 2 throws to Adams in the game. The guy still has it. And he's not like he was, 4 or 5 years ago, but he still has the arm. And, I worry about his legs and stuff because he has the knee problems and stuff, but I still believe in this guy, and I really think that he can get it done.
Yeah, well, you look at his stats, right? He's almost thrown 3,000 yards already, and, the guy, what is nice about it, even in, last year, while he wasn't being, like, quote-unquote Aaron Rodgers, the guy has been super ridiculously protective of the ball. He's only thrown 2 picks this entire year, and 17 touchdowns. And the thing is, like you said, I didn't expect Aaron Rodgers to have this explosive, like, oh my God season, because thankfully for the first time in his entire career, he hasn't had to, because he has that running game, because he has that defense, and so, because of that, he's not going to be putting up like ridiculous numbers, but like that's kind of a nice relief for him and a change of pace. And again, like all the people that were saying, "Oh man, look at the relationship between Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers to be so bad," are all shutting up now. Like they have nothing to say.
I know, that was ridiculous.
Because the whole he's a diva or whatever. The guy's passionate about the game, and and
he wants to win.
Yeah, and right now, like they are winning. They're getting along perfectly fine, obviously, and this is the most fun that I've seen them have, like as a team, and especially Aaron Rodgers in quite some time with like this new youthful coach coming in.
All right, Tom, thank you. We gotta go. I really appreciate you coming on today, talking some Packers football and just the NFL in general. I really appreciate it. It was an honor to talk to you. Hope to talk to you soon. Hopefully, come January, February when the Packers are in the playoffs.
Yeah, great to talk to you, Tom.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Good luck with the predictions and everything else, because I know you didn't really have a good week with predictions, so I hope that goes better for you. And hope to talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, you too.
And that was Tom Grossi of YouTube. Make sure to check out his YouTube channel. It is at Tom Grossi, TomGrossi. Great stuff. And that's all the time we got for today. Thank you for joining us. A great show. And we'll be back next week. We got
last one before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, the last one before Thanksgiving. This is Infinite Sports Radio with Kenneth Gruenfelder and Ben Upson. Have a good night, and we will see you next week.
See you around.